Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Victor Mark Onyebu. I'm the grants manager at Africa No Filter, and I also overlook our community building activities at Africa No Filter. I would just like to say a very big thank you to all of you who have been able to join us this morning. We are very happy to see you. We would like to get to know a little bit about you. And so please do feel free to go to the chat box and introduce yourself, your name, and perhaps where you're joining us from. It's a beautiful morning right here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm joining you from Lagos, Nigeria. Africa No Filter is a donor collaborative working to shift stereotypical and harmful narratives within and about Africa. As some of you who might have attended our previous webinars, you might know about this already. We do work through research, grant making, advocacy, and community building. And one of the ways we implement our community building strategies through what we call the Africa No Filter Academy. The ANF Academy activities are aimed at equipping storytellers, content creators, and creatives across media, across arts and culture in Africa with the relevant skills, both to enhance their storytelling capacities and also to sustain their creative enterprises. This is in line with ANF's vision to live an empowered narrative change ecosystem and an informed community of storytellers who continue working to shift harmful ways Africa is being and has been represented over the years. On this note, I would like to very warmly welcome every one of you to this ANF Academy webinar, which we have rightly titled Going Global, which is essentially about connecting our community of creatives in TV and documentary especially to global markets, global audiences. And we've got none other than the widely acclaimed David Cornwall. David is the managing director of Scorpion TV. Scorpion TV is an international production and distribution company dedicated to the global sales of award-winning documentaries, films, and television shows. With a focus on culturally diverse content, Scorpion TV was founded to fulfill the needs of small and large producers to maximize their audiences and of broadcasters looking for the most fascinating and inspiring stories to drive audiences to their channels. David has had a decade of experience in program sales and previously headed the sales department of a major international producer and distributor. He has worked with clients ranging from the BBC, Channel 4, NBC, United States of America, CBC Canada, Discovery, National Geographic, NTV Japan, TV4 Sweden, just name it, and so on and so forth. Over the next 60 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, you'll listen to a presentation by David, whom you'll hear from very shortly, and then we'll open for questions. Please ensure that you use the Q&A button for your questions. You can go ahead and put your introductions, your name, and where you're joining us from on the chat box. But in the course of the presentation, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to drop your questions. And then when the presentation is over, I'll pick questions from there and we'll basically have a conversation with David afterwards. And so without further ado, I would like to hand you over right now to David to take us through the presentation. David.
Hey, Victor, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that's joining us. I'm so delighted to see so many people from all over the continent of Africa. Looks like almost every country is represented in the chat at least. So that's amazing. Great honor to be invited to make this presentation by Africa No Filter. I'm so happy that I came across your organization, I think 6 months or so ago, when you had a webinar about what Africans see of themselves, in news media, and how we can change the narrative. I think that's fantastic, and I'm really delighted that you exist, and I hope we can really push forward some change. So Scorpion TV, as Victor's introduced, we are documentary distributors based in London. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I think I think I'm old enough and ugly enough to, you know, to know my way around the industry a bit. And yeah, I've always wanted to get positive, you know, African stories out there, positive stories from underrepresented groups out there. It hasn't always been easy. As you guys know, it's a very commercial world. It's a very demanding world, and you know, you have to sort of give the people what they want, while at the same time trying to, you know, trying to remain true to yourself. So yeah, let me get into the presentation. We've got a short while. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Hope you guys can see that. Okay. Yeah, you guys can let me know if anything is missing. But yeah, so this is us. This is our logo, Scorpion. If some of the more observant of you might be able to clock that. So yeah, we're 12 years old. As I mentioned, we've got 20 years experience. We work with producers small and large, and that's important to us. We love finding, you know, we love fighting for the little guy, finding those gems that the you know, that the bigger channels might overlook, and we love to get those stories out into the world. Just a bit about our catalog. We have about 200 hours of documentary. The majority of that are series, as you can imagine, but you know, obviously we have a large number of singles as well. We have a sales team, a multilingual sales team, which is important. Obviously, it's a multilingual world. And we attend major and minor TV markets around the world. So we're traveling salesmen, you know, on your behalf, pretty much. So as Victor mentioned, these are some of the people that we work with. Obviously, this slide needs updating in the 21st century. We should add some of the streamers on there as well. But yeah, TV, you know, the TV channels are still the dominant partner, especially for documentary sales. So yeah, you do need to think about these guys as well. But this is some of the films that we sell, some high-profile films. I'm happy, delighted that people have trusted us enough to sell their films. This is Seahorse, The Dad Who Gave Birth, which you may have heard of. It's about a transgender man that gave birth. It's, you know, obviously a very sensitive topic, and it's very beautifully made and handled by Jeannie Finlay and the guys at Grain in the UK, and it exhibited on the BBC over here, and is selling well around the world. Yeah, it's, you know, it's an outstanding story. It's almost a unique story. I think there have been a couple of other examples, but you know, it's something that has a great deal of public attention and interest. So that's a title that we represent. Another BBC film, an investigative film this time, about a young journalist that went to Saudi Arabia to see, you know, how things really were over there. And yeah, any film that offers new insights, can uncover things that we may not have known about, things that we thought we were familiar with. You know, the audience loves that. We love new information. We love finding out new things. So yeah, so this was a sort of you know, an expose of sort of daily life in Saudi Arabia, and that did well for us. This is our best-selling film, as you could, you know, you might not be surprised. It's about Princess Diana. You know, as much as I say that I want to represent the little guy, you know, you have to give the people what they want. And as I said, it's a very commercial world. And also, broadcasters will pay for what they really want. So when we were selling this film, you know, people that were paying X one day were paying 10X the next day when you know, when we offered this. So so yeah, do think about the commerciality. What is, you know, what is saleable about your film? And you know, and saying that, I'm very, you know, proud that we sold this film. And I will come back to this in a bit more detail. It's a goat for a vote, and this film did really well. It's such a small story. It's about school elections in Kenya. And you might think, well, how is that international? How is that, going to interest anyone outside of Kenya? But the fact is that it's beautifully filmed, so that really helps. If the quality always sells, so the film was really well made, and it covers a lot of global themes. So even though it's, as I said, a local story, it covers global themes. It covers things about democracy. It covers things about, gender parity. It's about the school election, who's going to become, the next school sort of president. And is the girl going to beat the boys for the first time, and it's got great characters and great humor. And it's just a positive, uplifting story. And it sold really well. We sold it to Japan, we sold it to Al Jazeera, we sold it to Sweden, all over the globe. Because people related to these wider themes, and also it's, as I said, it's an uplifting tale, full of humor. As I said, we'll come back to a bit more about that later. This is another big seller, The Boy Inside. It's about a boy in the States who's got a very severe case of Tourette's. Tourette's, if you may not know, is a syndrome that forces you to sort of shout and you have verbal tics. Due to a brain, sort of a brain issue. And they can be very severe, and you can, shout out in public and curse and all that stuff. So it's obviously quite visual, but it's a very emotional story because it's also about his parents and how they dealt with this child, and also about his journey to recovery, because they did a very experimental form of surgery where they put electrodes into his brain, where they could basically, turn him up and down like a volume control almost. So that was very sort of cutting edge at the time. And yeah, so that film had a lot of great elements to it. Another film with surprise. I think that's what an audience likes. They like to be surprised. They like things that are unusual. You may have seen this photo before. There's another film called Three Identical Strangers, but this film, The Twinning Reaction, looks at this wider study. There was a study done into twins where they were separated at birth without their parents' knowledge, and they were given up for adoption to two different couples, and the couples were studied, so that it was like a study of identical twins without anyone's real knowledge of what was happening. And it only later in life did the twins realize, oh, I had a twin I never knew. And so this was an investigation. It was almost like a crime thriller. Again, a lot of issues that made this film really saleable. And then lastly, again, a surprising story. These two women met online, and after a few weeks of dating, one gave the other her kidney. Wow. Yes, she donated her girlfriend her kidney after only a few months of knowing her. What an amazing story. And I show these films just to say that, okay, not many of these films are African, but they could be. This is the thing. I want to sell positive stories. I want to get new stories out there, and any of these stories, okay, maybe not Princess Diana, of course, but any of the other ones could have been in Africa. There's so much that we do still need to hear from the continent, and so I think we're looking for surprising and new information about Africa. So I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of what I've been up to for the past 3 years. I thought that might just give you a good random overview of what's selling. So as you can see, this is our world map, and these are the countries that we've sold to since 2018. I think we've hit every spot. There's a couple of glaring errors. There's a couple of glaring vacancies, you might say. Greenland and Africa. Yes, Africa is a tough market for us to sell films into. We have obviously sold there, but I think Victor might come onto that a bit later, but yeah, Africa is a tough market to sell documentaries into. Whereas Western Europe is the best market. Yeah, I think every country in Europe buys docs, and they buy a lot of docs. And yeah, and I think we just hit every spot on the globe, you know, for documentaries. So yes, this is where your films will go. If you're making films, this is where, you know, you're going to make your money, in these markets. So what is it about your film that's going to appeal to an international audience? And then these are the sales by country. You might be surprised to know that Germany is actually our biggest customer. Yeah, they've got a very well-developed TV industry, TV market. They buy a lot of factual content. They love documentaries. They love learning about the world and about different cultures. So yeah, so Germany is our biggest market. Then we've got VOD. I just lumped VOD all together. So that's all our video on demand streamers in there. And yeah, of course, you know, Netflix. But Netflix are not buying a lot of finished films, as you may know. They like to produce their own or get in early. And of course, I'm talking about program sales here. So the film's already made and I'm selling it on afterwards. So besides Netflix, there's a ton of other streamers. There's new ones popping up every day. And so, yeah, they're obviously a big and growing market for us. I'm sure they'll be, you know, our #1 buyer, you know, before too long. Then we've got the USA. The USA pays the most, but they don't buy a lot. So, you know, you do want to get a sale to the USA if you can, but somehow you've got to make it appeal to that audience. Middle East, lots of news channels there, Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, buying a lot of news and current affairs films. And yeah, and then, you know, you can see the tail of the tape there. UK sort of is just about makes the top 10, because these developed you know, TV markets don't buy much. UK produces a hell of a lot of its own stuff, doesn't buy a lot. In fact, the BBC is not allowed to buy a lot of films due to its charter. So there's that to think about. But yeah, obviously, as I said, Western Europe is the biggest market for documentary. And then what films are selling? So the first film there, Chile, A Wild Journey, is a wildlife film. Wildlife just sells. You know, it sells twice as much, it seems, as the next film. Yeah, if you point a camera at a lion, someone's going to buy it, basically. You know, we can't get enough of wildlife. Obviously, it's expensive to make. It takes a long time, but well-made wildlife is an absolute surefire winner. And we're looking for new stories. We're looking for new ways of talking about, you know, the wild. Climate change sort of, you know, comes in there. What's happening in, you know, if you're in Kenya, if you're in Tanzania, if you're in Botswana, what new sort of wildlife stories can you uncover, you know, to bring out to the international market? So wildlife is just, you know, way out in front. Then surprisingly, the next sort of biggest sellers, it's not science, it's not current affairs, it's not history, it's emotional stories. As I said to you, The Boy Inside, about the kid with Tourette's, that is, for the last 3 years, that has been our next biggest seller. People just love the emotion, they love the story, they love to, you know, to sort of feel what the family feels as they take their kids through this journey. It's got that science element as well of the cutting edge surgery, but yeah, again, it's about the emotion. The Twinning Reaction, again, about the twin study, that comes in at #3, Seahorse. It's not quite a fair playing field because some films are newer than others during the 3 years, but yeah, just gives you an overview. Inside the Real Saudi Arabia, the current affairs film. At the end there, Fake News is a current affairs documentary, and Dead Man's Line is a true crime film. So current affairs, true crime, popular science, but bring that emotion, bring the tears. with the story, but obviously make it uplifting. It's got to have a happy ending if possible. And of course, we're trying to promote positive stories of Africa. So do think about that. What is surprising, emotional, uplifting, what is the type of stories that you can tell. And then, what are people paying? Sorry, I got carried away with the graphs and the PowerPoint. I didn't have an editor. So, so we all need editors. Editors, you get our respect, but I didn't have one in this case, so I went crazy. But license fees, what are broadcasters generally paying? Low, medium, and high. Yes, you're right. You can ignore the high, and you can sort of ignore the low as well. So we're talking the medium. But if I don't know what kind of story people are desperate for. Like I said, the Princess Diana film, people were desperate for it, and we got the high license fees for that. And what stories can you have that can really get people to put their hands in their pockets? But yeah, on the sort of medium side, so dollars in Germany, 20,000, 30,000 for an hour for a documentary. France, not far behind. UK is up there as well, 20,000 for an hour. Scandinavia as a group, paying about that. So these are the sort of markets that you want to try and get your film to appeal to. And as I said, it's not about where you're from or what you look like. It's about those global themes, I think emotion basically is global. I think that's the only, that's one of the things that we all sort of share. And the Americas, yes. So you can see the United States kind of dwarfs everyone, unsurprisingly. Yeah, and you can get 100,000 US for a documentary in America. Again, it has to be highly valuable to the discoveries, the Nat Geos, a wildlife film, a well-made wildlife film. That's the kind of money you're talking. Yeah, a science doc. Obviously, this is not something that you would probably make on your own. You might obviously have to partner up with other production companies, and we'll get onto that a bit. But yeah, this is just to say that this is, in terms of building a career, these are the sort of roads you need to go down. Canada is a good buyer. They are a regular client, Canada. They're a very outward-facing country, and they love to learn about the rest of the world. And they do have a strong documentary tradition as well. So obviously they don't pay as much as the US, but they're great clients. Latin America, tough. You can do a pan-Latin deal, but yeah, it's just to give you an idea of what people are paying. And in Asia, there's some standouts. Australia, Japan. Australia and Japan are probably the biggest Asian clients. China does not pay much for content. Depends what it is, I'm not going to say never say never, and it's all about relationships. What I know, there's obviously there's a China relationship with Africa, but yeah, if there's something you can tap into there, there's obviously there's an industry there, and there's revenue there to be made, but it's having those relationships that can unlock that. But outside that, yeah, it's Australia and Japan that are the biggest documentary buyers, and a pan-regional deal, a pan-Asian deal is also valuable. But then you're talking about, as I said, the Discovery and Nat Geo, those pan-Asian channels. And then Middle East and Africa, as you can see, the numbers drop down quite a lot. A pan-regional African deal, yeah, you're looking, about 6,000 US. Middle East is as a region is also paying about that. Yeah, and then in Africa itself, I would say that South Africa is the biggest documentary buyer when they are active. So that just gives you an overview of kind of territories you need to be thinking about hitting in terms of trying to build a career or sell your film. And then we wanted to discuss how to make films in the first place. My company really deals with selling the finished product, and that's what I'm sort of best at. But as I said, I've been around the block, and we do get involved in helping to get films made as well, or I've learned about how films get made, and I've just come up with a few ideas, a few routes that that you might consider. So the first is a TV commission, where the broadcaster funds the film. The second is the feature doc or the festival route. The third is digital. And the fourth is partnerships, where we're talking about thinking outside the box a bit, brands, NGOs, charities. Yeah, so there's different ways of looking at it, crowdfunding, all of the above. So forgive me, it's quite heavy, but I'll try to blast through it. So, and for those of you that don't know, I'm sorry, for those of you that do know, it'll be a quick refresher. So a TV commission, this is where you receive some or the majority of the production costs from your home broadcaster / streamer. And then you raise the remainder of the costs from international broadcasters who either pre-sale or co-produce. And then you often need a local producer in the country of the broadcaster to unlock those funds. You pitch your project directly to broadcasters with a one-pager, and then if they're interested, you follow up with a full treatment. And then you start a discussion about how they want to invest, how they want to come on board your project. You do need a track record. This is generally not for first-timers, because obviously these are established broadcasters and they need to know that you can deliver what you say you're going to deliver. So directors out there, do try to team up with an experienced producer, someone that can, guide you through the process, and also someone that can give comfort to investors so that they're not throwing their money away, or they're not worried about throwing their money away. It works best for science, docs, wildlife, history, engineering, or investigative productions that buyers can quickly understand. A broadcaster can say, oh, it's a documentary about, a new type of vaccine, or it's a documentary about something new happening in space. My audience loves that. What's the story? Who's involved? I'm in. Or no, this is not quite right for us, but thank you. So it works best for those sort of films that are easily digestible. When it comes to the more emotional stories, the more poetic, author-driven type films, it's harder for that. But we'll come on to other options for that. Always helps to have some footage. Always helps nowadays. It's so easy to film stuff. Always helps if you can show a bit about what the film will be about, or if you can show your characters, or you can show your shooting style, or just something that adds to the level of confidence for the investor. As an example, I'm working on a science project at the moment, and we're working on it for about 2 months, and I've raised some pre-sales from Sweden and Germany so far. Will I raise the rest of the budget? That's that's the risk I've taken on. I hope so. I'm excited about the project, and obviously you need someone passionate and excited to put in the work for you. As an example, this is an end credit, and as you can see, there's quite a few partners involved, and this is the way of the world now. It's very rare, Netflix notwithstanding, Amazon notwithstanding, it's very rare for broadcasters to fully fund a production now. So this is a BBC Open University partnership in association with Le Films DC and Arte France. So it seems as if Arte France is a broadcaster. Seems as if Arte France has come on as a co-producer with the BBC. And then further down, we've got in association with, and this is the people you want to try and get on board. SVT, which is the Swedish broadcaster, VPRO, which is the Dutch broadcaster, VRT, that's Belgium, DR, that's Denmark, NRK, that's Norway, and YLE, that's Finland, with the support of CNC. I think that's a French fund. So yeah, so you can see this a patchwork, it's a jigsaw. Even for someone like the BBC, they need you know, others to help them complete the budget for certain films. And I'm pretty sure this is probably a science film if it's got the Open University attached to it. So for the creative authors out there, those that are not making a TV hour and want to make a more poetic and a festival favorite film, this is a way to go for you potentially. Here you receive the majority of your funding from film funds, grants, and also international broadcasters. But it's a different type of film, and the broadcaster understands that they probably won't get to show the film first. You know, it'll come to them after it's done the festival route, etc. So you can still pitch to broadcasters, but as I say, it's a different type of discussion. You need to attend physically or virtually these days, which is helpful, pitching forums at major festivals where you pitch to broadcasters and investors. Those festivals are IDFA in Amsterdam, Hot Docs, which is the biggest documentary festival in North America, that's in Canada, Sheffield in the UK, Durban in South Africa. I think they have a forum, I believe. NUF is a fairly new wildlife festival in South Africa as well. They have a forum. AIDC in Australia is a documentary conference. They have a forum. Good Pitch is a traveling forum for social justice docs, and they're all over the world. Check them out. I think they're in New Zealand next. And then MBrain is interesting. They are a forum for documentaries for kids, and that's in Sweden, and I think that's early next year. So check those festivals out, and see if you can pitch your project and get in the room with these investors and funders. Many festivals also have funds that you can apply for. IDFA has something called the Bertha Fund, which funds documentaries from the Global South, and they offer €7,500 for development and €40,000 for production. Two deadlines there, December the 10th and June the 10th. So yeah, so get in there. Obviously, it's not everyone gets it. You know, you have to apply and you have to succeed. But these are routes to raising finance. Hot Docs, Blue Ice Fund, similarly, funds development up to 10,000 Canadian, and funds production, sorry, up to 40,000 Canadian. But the Blue Ice Fund from Hot Docs is specifically for African producers. So yeah, how about that? The deadline though is tomorrow, December the 1st. So yeah, you might have to burn the midnight oil if you want to get your project in the running for that. Lots of info online. I found this stuff quite easily. There's a link there, Film Daily TV, grants for African filmmakers. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, there's like, I saw about 6 or 7 different grants for African filmmakers, long form, short form, everything in between there. One thing to say about this feature doc route is you can build up momentum. You go around these various funds and, you know, you pick up one, you pick up another, people start to hear about it. You get in the room at Hot Docs, you know, some people hear about it. You get in the room at Sheffield, people hear about it. And therefore, people are sort of attracted to your project as it builds up momentum. And that's how a lot of these films do get made, is that they build up momentum on this route. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, it can take a year, 2 years to go this route, but you know, if you're passionate about your project, then you know this is an option. At the bottom there, you should know about these organizations in Africa. STEPS in South Africa, they produced Generation Africa, which was a series of docs about migration. They've also produced Why Democracy and Why Poverty, which is a series of documentaries on those subjects from African producers. So do get to know the guys at Steps. DocuBox is in Kenya, is a documentary fund, and they also provide training. So do get in touch with them. I'm not quite sure what their program is, how it runs, but I know they're very active. And Close Up in Belgium is another training and funding support for filmmakers from the Middle East and North Africa. So I think there's lots of opportunities out there, you know, if you're smart and if you're tenacious, to try and raise finance for your production. Or you could say, hell with all that, I'm just going to go digital. So, you know, of course, the potential is, you know, possibly endless for digital docs. But here's a couple of ideas. Newspapers have documentaries. Newspapers are commissioning documentaries. The New York Times has docs, and they are open to any kind of documentary from anywhere in the world. Quality has to be there, subject has to be right, but you know, do your research, check them out, what they're looking for. You might have something for them. Guardian in the UK, the same. They fund short documentaries. I'm sure they love you know, some sort of revealing, unique take on stories from Africa. What about your local newspaper or your local magazine? Are they funding films, short documentaries? Worth having a look. YouTube are looking for films for their young audience, 14 to 24. They've got a Black Voices Fund. You know, think big, obviously, with them. Don't hide your ambition. Don't limit your ambition with them. They're looking for large-scale projects that align with their learning and impact pillars, with specific focus on the Black experience and perspective. Okay, a bit vague, but that's good. That means that, you know, you've got, you know, that's broad. So yeah, there could be a lot of things there. They want to explore less covered elements of Black culture. That's really exciting, I think, because yeah, what could that entail? That sounds great. And looking for fun projects packed full of exciting and surprising learning takeaways. So just an example. Another example is Amazon. Amazon are big into sports docs. Have you got a sports story? Do you know a sports, you know, celebrity or whatever? Or, you know, just to say that Amazon are looking for sports docs. And then lastly, partnerships. As I mentioned, thinking a bit outside the box. Can you collaborate with brands, charities, partners aligned to your project? If your project is about aging, can you collaborate with an aging charity? They might not fund you, but they might make their audience available to you. You know, they might support you in other ways. They might support you with logistics or clothing or whatever, hotels. You know, who can you align yourself with that can support your film and also you sort of make it available to your audience. But bear in mind that campaigning films are hard to sell. Obviously, NGOs love to get their message out there. Charities love to get their message out there. But if your film is funded by a charity and it's obvious, or it's a campaign, then it's going to be very difficult to sell. Broadcasters are very wise to that. So by all means, have them on your side, but be careful with the editorial that it's not overtaken by, you know, T-shirts with their logos all over it or whatever. Thinking of partnerships, one example is Patagonia Clothing and 12 other companies are contributing 1% of sales to grassroots environmental groups. So Patagonia want to promote stories about the environment. Do you have something that could fit that? What other brands are looking to align themselves with filmmakers? Brands are sponsoring docs, especially online, if you can walk the fine line between funding and editorial. I just heard that Johnny Walker have made a documentary featuring top creatives from Africa. It looks great. It's an hour film. I haven't had a chance to watch it fully yet. It's just released yesterday or the day before. And yeah, it looks great. and yeah, you know, they're very upfront about the fact that they sponsored this film, but would this film have got made otherwise, you know? And it's you know, it's an example of a really interesting tie-up, and I'm sure there'll be more of those coming up. And I think I might have run out of talking. Yes, I have. So I want to hear from you. As I said, I really want to get, you know, help get great projects out into the world. I'm looking for finished films. If I can't help, I'll try to point in the right direction. There's my details. And I think that is it. So, so yes, I think I could take a little sit now.
Great, thank you, David. That was a fantastic present. I think Victor is having some connection problems.
Okay.
So next we'll be going to the Q&A.
Right.
If everyone can please pop in their questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of their screens, and then we'll go through them now.
Yeah, love to hear what people have to say. I'll try and answer as much as I can. Can I see the questions, or are you going to read them for me?
I'll read them for you. We have a question from Jeanette asking, she says, amazing stories on these films. Where can one watch them? Netflix, YouTube?
Some of them are on YouTube. As most of these are sold to local broadcasters. So, you know, you just have to be lucky. Some of them are on YouTube. They don't want their films to go on YouTube. Most of these producers don't want their films to go on YouTube immediately. So that makes it more difficult. As I said, we generally try to sell to TV stations first. That's our sort of most important market in terms of revenue. So unfortunately, some of these films will not be online immediately, but yeah, that's how that goes.
Thank you. And then we have a question from Jigar. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. When you're talking about these different countries licensing films, what is the minimum length the films need to be?
Great question. The minimum length is 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour is the ideal duration for a TV documentary. That is because, you know, you got ad breaks and stuff. So yeah, 45 minutes to an hour is the ideal duration for a TV documentary. Anything over that becomes problematic. Anything over 60 minutes, you know, unless, you know, as I said, you want to make a feature documentary and you want to go the festival route and you want to win awards, you know, that's great. But sort of for the TV market, anything over an hour is an issue, unless you're prepared to re-edit your film. So you've got two versions. Yeah, so you've got a feature length and a cut down. Yeah, so 45 is the minimum.
Great, thank you. I see that Victor is back again. Victor, yes. Are you stable?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm stable now. Thanks so much, Nadia, for standing in. And thank you so much, David, for such an insightful presentation, full of insights and loads of information. I would just like to tell everyone to kindly drop your questions in the Q&A, and very shortly, there will be some polling questions popping up on your screen. And so we will take those questions and they will enrich our context and conversation as we go along. Thank you, David. You've taken a couple of questions already. There's this other question here that talks about does getting the docu-series aired on the local broadcaster, does it actually help with selling outside of the country?
Yeah, it can do. Like I say, if you can get your local broadcaster to pay for the production, brilliant. You know, then the job is done. But it has to be something that appeals to an international audience. It can't be too local. It can't be too specific to your town or your country. It's got to travel. So, but yeah, if it's already been broadcast, yeah, brilliant. That's ideal.
Beautiful. We've got a question from Dr. Shepo, and the question goes, what type of science projects are the broadcasters interested in for TV commissions?
Science, again, we're looking for new information. We just, we want new ways of looking at things, new ways of treating subjects. So anything new is good. Space is interesting. Innovation in AI, artificial intelligence, is obviously a big issue. We had a film, one of our best-selling science films is actually about sound and the science of sound. And what made that appealing was the way it was done. Again, it was new information, new things about, new ways, things you didn't know about sound, and how they made it visual as well, which was really, really interesting. So yeah, the audience just wants to know something new. So it could be any subject, but what is affecting society? What do you think? What's affecting your society? What are you interested in? It's likely that that others will be as well.
Yeah. Gao is asking a very important question here, and the question is, how is the issue of language subtitles handled? And the example he or she gave is who does the subtitle. For example, my show from Botswana is in Setswana. I'm assuming Setswana is the language, and it's bought by a German broadcaster who does the subtitle in that kind of scenario.
Yeah. So then, so you would supply one master as a producer. We want to make it as simple as possible. You supply a single master, and all the other countries do their own subtitling, dubbing, and everything else. So yeah, you provide we call it an international master, and yeah, we can get into that in more detail, one-to-one. But an international master is provided, and each country does their own dubbing and subtitling.
Beautiful. Yaya is asking a question about the price, the average price of a documentary, a wildlife or emotional storyline.
Well, I did give you the prices that people are paying. There's no sort of average. You just have to hit those big paying territories. Yeah, I can't give you a figure because each country is so different. But yeah, as I said, the States can pay up to 100K, 50K if you get there. Germany pays about 20. If you can get a film sold there. So yeah, it really, and obviously a lot of countries pay a lot less than that as well. So so it really varies. I think the important thing is that you have a film that has a wide appeal and gives you the best chance of getting the most from as many countries as possible.
Okay, David, there is a question about which learning pathway would you advise a newbie to learn and produce high quality films and documentaries?
Check, so if you're based in the African continent, check things like DocuBox, where they offer training and support. They would probably give you more info than I can on other training and support sort of modules around the continent. Just go out there. Obviously, the other thing is just go out there and make stuff you're passionate about. Get it online. People have built big businesses making content for YouTube. I know someone that started making films for YouTube, then grew that into making long documentaries for TV, and now he sold his company and he's no longer working. So so yeah, get out there, get making. I'm not saying it's easy, but you've got to have something to show, and yeah, start from there. I would say Snapchat, TikTok, as all these platforms grow and get more mature, you know, they want to sort of emulate TV more and more. They want to, you know, I'm sure TikTok will start, if it hasn't already, you know, start having documentaries. How do you tap into that? But yeah, do your research and look for resources and training on the continent, because it is there. It's not a lot, that is true, but there are resources there for you.
Okay, we've got a question from Dr. Sheppel, and the question is about the appetite for animated science documentaries. What do you think about that?
That's rather specific. I don't know. I'd have to see it to know more about it. Why not? You know, yeah, I'd have to see it, but if it covers the subject in the right way, and the animation brings something that, you know, is new and interesting, and obviously it's credible, then why not? Yeah, I'd have to sort of see it to really get an idea of what it would be like, but not against that at all.
Yeah, and I think this question brings to mind something I saw on your slide, David. There was this map of the world where you've done sales, and Africa was practically, you know, blank, basically. What do you think accounts for the lack of appetite? Or would I say it's a lack of appetite on the side of the platforms and the channels and those that have, you know, the platforms, or lack of appetite on the side of the viewers? What do you think about that in Africa?
Yeah, it's a big issue. I think there's a few things that feed into that. I think because we have tried to sell these films that I showed you into Africa and to the TV channels, and they didn't seem that, you know, interested. Two reasons perhaps. One is that Africans would rather see films about Africa and about themselves. And we don't, and as I don't sell a lot of African films because I haven't seen a lot that inspire me. They're normally, you know, the usual subjects: poverty, something depressing, and I just don't want to, you know, promote that message. So, you know, I would love to sell more positive African films into Africa, and I'm sure they would probably be more gratefully received. So there's that. And I think the other thing is that, so I'm told, is that you need a sort of more of a middle class, or a larger middle class population to start appreciating documentaries. I don't know how true that is. Possibly there might be some truth in that, but certainly, you know, when I've been to markets in Africa selling content, it's the drama. You know, it's the telenovelas, it's the dramas and the soaps that people are more willing to buy from India, Turkey, Japan. You know, that is the stuff that seems to sell. I guess because people just want to escape and just want to just turn off and relax. And maybe documentaries are a bit kind of, you know, a bit challenging after a hard day's work. I don't know. And then the other thing is infrastructure. Of course, you know, you have the TV networks, but I'm told that the internet uptake is not that great across the continent. So, you know, the access to the Netflixes and Amazon and YouTube is not, you know, we can't take it for granted as we might do in the UK. So yeah, so it's the access. You know, if you want your film, if you're in Burkina Faso and you've got a film about, you know, about your population, how do they get to see that? You know, you might have to literally go on the road with like a mobile cinema or something, and you know, take your film literally around the country. So, you know, actually on the ground, it's you know, it can be quite a tricky picture to get documentaries seen. So it's complicated, but you know, I'm sure that positive stories about Africa would be more welcomed on the continent.
Yeah. All right. There's a question on do you also distribute short films? Do you sell short films?
No, sadly, short films are difficult for us. Yeah, we wouldn't know where to go with them. They're more of a calling card, as I'm told. They're more of a way of sort of developing your career to go on to longer projects. There is a market for them. If online, there's a few places. I think there's shorts.tv. I think they either sell or distribute short films. So there is a market, but we're not specialized in that.
Okay, cool. Some people are asking for your contact. I guess it was on the last slide of your presentation.
Yeah, David at scorpiontv.com, David at SCORPION
Yeah, perhaps we can have it on the chat box as well. But I see that we are over time by 2 minutes. We had just 60 minutes for this, and we are at the point where I'll have to crave your indulgence for just a few more questions, David.
Yeah,
because
I've got a bit of time. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. We did send out polling questions, and we've got a couple of responses so far. There was a question around, what do you think is the biggest challenge faced by TV and documentary producers in Africa? And a very significant number of them talked about funding. Next to funding is access to markets and audiences, which is basically, of course, why we are gathered here today. You've been talking about access to markets and so on. But funding is a very strong challenge. Very huge challenge for them. So do you want to say something a bit? I know you talked about it a bit during the presentation. Do you want to touch on it a bit more?
I mean, yeah, I'm not in Africa, so I don't know as much as I should, but there was a UNESCO report, I don't know if you heard about it, about cinema in Africa. And yeah, I might send you a link to that, Victor, which you could share later. But and that said that there's like 19 countries in Africa do have funding and support for cinema. So 19 out of 54 is not much. But there are some countries that do offer funding and support. So if you're lucky enough to be in one of those countries, then that might be an option. Yeah, access to funding is what can you say? It's the same situation for every filmmaker, no matter where you are. And as I did offer some options, get to know those bodies in Africa, like Steps, like DocuBox, plug into them. What can they offer? What can they introduce? What can they bring to your attention? Think outside the box. Brands, as I said, are looking to invest in film. And there's sort of a bit of a focus on Africa, I would say. There's, we've got this whole diversity sort of drive in the UK, looking for more diverse stories. That seems to be a bit of a global theme as well. So it's a bit of timing, but definitely every producer is looking for funds, no matter where you are. So you've got to sort of think, a bit strategically, maybe reach outside of Africa. Look around the world. Who can help you on your journey to make your film? Obviously, it would be great if film could be fully funded from within Africa, but you've got to think outside the box. I don't have all the information to hand. There was a bank I read about. I think it was a Nigerian bank that was getting into media and funding media projects. I can try and dig out that information as well for you, Victor. Okay. So yeah, just do your research, think outside the box, or just go out and film. A lot of producers just they bootstrap their film. They make it on no budget at all. They show it to the right person. Someone becomes interested in what they've done so far, and it builds from there. There's no easy way about it. unfortunately. You just have to sort of build as you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. Because we're out of time, I'll just run through some of the responses we've got on some other questions. There's a question around which international markets have you found most difficult? Like we're asking the audience this, and most of them said intra-Africa, which is quite interesting. And so break it into markets in West Africa, North Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa, you know, has been quite challenging. And next to this was the United States, and next to this was Europe. And then there was a question around what stage of the process are you as a content producer, documentary content producer? And a large segment of our audience right now are at the stage of planning and development. So they are at the development stage. And then that was closely followed by those who have made a docu. And then we've got those who are in the middle of filming. And then we've also got a small number of them who are still thinking about it. And so hopefully after this, they'll make up their minds. And then we've got the last question, which was, what sort of topics have you covered or are most likely to cover? This shows where the interest lies. And a vast majority talked about culture and contemporary issues. And I know you did touch on this when we, in the course of your presentation. Next to this was music, and next to this was wildlife. And then the next was sports, crime, and then there's smaller percentages for the other subjects. But
yeah, these all sound like great subjects, great topics to explore. So yeah, I would encourage you guys to you know, to don't give up. Just put your thinking caps on. There's money out there, but you just got to, you know, they're not going to tell you where it is. You got to go and find it. So, but it is out there. And films are getting made, and you just got to be tenacious, and you'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, David. Now, there's two other very important questions I just want us to be able to touch on before we jump off.
Okay.
Somebody's asking about what percentage does the filmmaker receive from the sales after the distribution? And that's one question. Then, very related to that is about IP, intellectual property, and what are the general terms of these licenses when they've been sold? What are the general terms of these licenses for the docus? If you could just touch on those two questions.
Yeah, on the IP, a broadcaster will license your film. You'll always be your film. You'll always own your film. You'll always own the copyright. But a broadcaster will license it, have the right to sell it, to show it for a certain number of times in a certain number of years. When we're sort of 3 to 5 years. They might show it, I don't know, 8 to 12 times. And then of course, they might attach their VOD service to that as well. And then on the percentages, as this is, you know, going live out into the world, I'm not going to sort of go into the minute detail of our agreements. You know, it does, of course, it's vary, but the vast majority of the funds goes to the producer. It's a negotiation, and yeah, you know, it's we've been around for many years, and we think we treat people fairly. But yeah, it's you know, definitely it's you know, the vast majority of the income goes straight back to the producer.
Okay. So the very last question, David, somebody's working on a docu-series and is asking if you're able to sell a docu-series as much as standalone documentary films. How do you compare both?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, we prefer series. As I said, we've got like 200 hours in our library, and 60 hours is singles, so 140 is series. So more of our content is series. Depends what it is. But yeah, series sells just as well as singles, but you know, it just depends. Horses for courses kind of thing.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, David. We are really out of time, and we have to stop at this point. I would just like to appreciate you for taking the time to go through this, and beautiful presentation, wonderful insights. I believe our creative community will be very grateful for this information. And to every one of you who made it to this presentation. I would just like to say thank you from African No Filter. This is a very big thank you to you. We are in this because of you. And I would like to encourage you to get in touch with David. And he has put his contact details. I believe, David, you've put your contact details in the chat section. And so you can always get in touch with David, and to be part of this next time, because we do this on a quarterly basis. African No Filter Academy will continue to put out very engaging content of this nature. And so join our community, receive our newsletters, get the information firsthand, and be the first to register for the next engagement that we will have. My colleagues have been putting in the link to join the African No Filter community on the chat box. And do follow us on social media. We are at African No Filter across our different platforms. And David's contact details is david@scorpiontv.com. One word, david@scorpiontv.com. And so this is thank you from all of us at ANF. And thank you to you, David. And thank you to every one of you from across Africa. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Victor.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.